Hi, Caitlin.
Hi, Cassie.
Hi, creepy people.
Do you want to do
I don't really care. I just hit my hand on the desk.
that? I was like, I don't know if I heard that in my ears or in, you know what I mean, in
Yeah.
my headphones. Or,
I mean,
don't
if
know.
you guys heard it, that's the kind of pain that I go through on a daily basis for you. So
That was your right elbow.
it was my
right?
hand.
Oh, okay. I whacked my right elbow when I was in my bathroom getting ready. I whacked it
Oh,
so freaking hard.
man.
I thought
Today?
yes.
Getting
We were
ready
getting
for
ready.
you.
Yes. Yes. I thought you were going to come like around the corner and be like, "Are you okay?"
Did you scream? I didn't hear it. I didn't hear anything.
I thought I must have been so loud. I thought for sure you were going to.
Huh.
Yeah.
Maybe I have the water on or something.
Yeah. I'm sure you didn't hear me. I thought I was being louder than probably I really was.
Or maybe I just think, oh, Caitlin's just in there yelling. It's fine.
Yeah, you're like, it's fine.
She does what she does. Well, if you're new here, we don't just talk about how we hurt ourselves for you. We also talk about true crime and paranormal I forgot to say our name. We are PNW Haunts and Homicides, and we also talk about true crime and the paranormal and a bunch of other spooky, weird stuff in the Pacific Northwest.
It's PNW. It's our name.
PNW, if you're nasty.
Because it's nasty.
So nasty when we whack ourselves for you.
I know. Oh my God. Speaking of nasty, I'm like, oh God, is the bruise already forming?
Kind of looks like you have one.
Oh, it does?
Kind of. Or your elbow's just red like that.
Oh, no, it does kind of look bruised. Okay, well, there you go.
Well, we did it. And we also do a tarot reading at the end of every episode for a little deeper insight into our topic.
Is that what we do?
Yeah. So stick around if you're into that.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Well, I have a story for you today. So it's obviously haunted.
Okay.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the history of Fort Vancouver. It was built in March of 1825, making this their 200th anniversary.
Oh.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So this was originally part of our 200th episode because I was like, oh, 200. And we ended up scrapping it and talking about something else that we wanted to talk about.
Yeah. It was wild times here in the pod lab that day.
That was fun. We should do more spontaneous stuff more often.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's going to work out pretty well. I feel like that was a fun topic.
I think so too.
Hey, listen, we just go where we are guided.
Yes. And then we have a full ass other episode for another time.
Yeah.
And this is the time.
And this is the time.
So what was originally a British or French Canadian fur trading post, I was kind of confused because some of them called it British, some of them called it French Canadian. But I think is it like the same thing?
Well, no, but I think it's possible that over time it maybe changed hands.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know.
I didn't deep dive into this portion of it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, either way.
Or maybe they both had posts up there.
I mean, they did have, this trading company had posts all over the place. Yeah. So it was British or French Canadian. We don't know.
Posts.
Both.
You know?
All the posts.
Oh.
It is now a 366-acre National Historic Site.
Oh, wow.
It was the PNW base of operations for the Hudson's Bay Company.
Ah, yeah.
Or the HBC, if you're nasty.
If you're nasty. And they kind of were nice.
Yeah. We'll get into a little bit of it. Not to get too political or anything, but so they'd moved from Fort George in Astoria when the sea otter population drastically declined.
Oh no!
Because they were killing them for their fur.
I had a guess.
Yeah. So they moved inland, finding a vast beaver population.
Oh boy.
Yes. So then they were into beaver pelts, beaver fur.
Really into those beavers.
That beaver fur, am I right? Don't be pulling on other people's beaver fur.
Oh my God.
That story lives rent-free in my mind.
Oh God. It has been a long time since I thought about that.
I think about it every day. It's my Roman Empire. And if you don't know what we're talking about, join the Patreon.
Oh my God. That was so good. Well, it was like mud wrestling in the rain.
Yeah.
Oh.
And beaver beaver fur pulling. That's all I'm going to say.
Like old timey and just wild. It was like Jerry Springer let loose on the 1930s-ish.
Oh, so fun. Anyway, Fort Vancouver had a rich, diverse culture. People coming from everywhere to work and to trade. But they also wanted to have peaceful relations with the Indigenous people that were already living there.
What?
So they made efforts to employ and befriend them.
Okay.
Even encouraging their employees to marry Native women to establish kinship, hoping to break down any trade barriers.
Interesting. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Which I was like, that sounds nice. Right? And then that last part, though, I was like, well, I don't know. And then there's kind of this flip side to that where I don't know, might be obvious to other people knowing some of the history, but it wasn't really to me at first until I read this quote from Fort Vancouver's chief trader, Dr. John McLoughlin, who might sound familiar to you guys. I'll tell you in a second because we've talked about him before.
We have.
His quote, "It is proved by experience that the only way to gain the confidence of Indians," that's what they called them.
Mm-hmm. Which is actually probably better than what a lot of people were.
Right. Yeah. And keep in mind, this is not an American trading post at this point. It's the like British, French, Canadian.
Yeah.
He says, quote, "It is proved by experience that the only way to gain the confidence of Indians and influence over them is by having establishments on their lands."
Okay.
So like that to me, the part influence over them, it kind of just it feels
icky.
Yeah, that's literally what I wrote. And
it gives me the ick.
Like they're basically just being nice so that they can take their things without an uprising is kind of what it sounded like to me.
Yeah, that's the vibe.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that like encouraging their employees to marry Native women, just I don't know. Encouraging sounds icky to me.
Yeah. I mean, I know that colonizing was a popular pastime amongst white men of the time, but really colonizing female body, well, why am I surprised?
I know. I mean, I know it's what happened. It's just interesting to just like see it all and see these people quotes. Talking about it. And so.
Yeah, it's just kind of icky. It's like,
but I'm like, I don't know. Is that better than just like coming in and killing everyone? Because they're going to come in and take it either way.
I mean, I guess that maybe there's some truth to that. I mean, not to be an apologist,
right?
I guess,
no,
but
it's just both sides.
Hopefully there's like a grain of like wanting, like you said, to sort of like establish
good relationships.
Yeah. Keep it a peaceful place and not have people.
Yeah. So, I mean, we all know what happened, but so quickly about Dr. John McLoughlin. So we talked about him way back in episode 44.
Holy shit.
I know, about the McLoughlin house hauntings. And so he is known as the father of Oregon. And we didn't really go into it in that episode, but this is an official title given to him by the Oregon Legislative Assembly in 1957.
Okay.
He has a statue and everything.
Yeah, he does.
And many things in Oregon are named after him. Schools, a boulevard, a bridge, a mountain. I think we talked about the mountain.
Yeah, lots of stuff.
And he was known as the father of Oregon because he provided aid to many of its settlers.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, this is so random, but I love the word boulevard.
I do too.
I don't know why. It's just satisfying to look at and say. Boulevard.
Yeah.
A boulevard.
Yeah. It sounds, listen, I don't know. Not to be like elitist about it or anything. And but boulevard sounds way cooler than just like street.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come to think of it, I think for a lot of my life, I've lived on like a lane or a parkway or a court.
I like court too.
Court's
court
good.
Sounds like, I'm the queen of my court.
I know. Caitlin, the blah, 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 blah of court such and such.
Two people who just live in apartments are dreaming about living on the streets someday. One day. We'll live together in a compound and have tunnels.
I was going to say, where do you think, I mean, do we establish the compound on like a parkway? I think boulevard.
I think we make up our own.
Ooh.
Yeah. I don't know what it would be, but we're going to make up our own. We'll workshop it and get back to you.
Okay.
Everything changed in the late 1940s. The army came in to the post and kind of just started taking things over. They eventually took like so much over that the post wasn't getting any business really anymore. And they swooped them out of there, basically.
Okay. So yeah, they just took it over and put her right on out of business.
This is ours now. Thanks.
Mine.
Okay, thanks. Bye. Which like you kind of just did that to the Native American people, but you know, this probably wasn't as nice. They probably weren't as encouraging of nice relations.
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah. They were busy, you know, trying to, establish the border, I think that was like their main goal.
Well, and you said 1940?
It was I think it was like 1849.
Oh,
I
was like
1840s.
Again, we're going back to my Rome.
Right, yes.
Which is, you know, as we know, World War II.
Yeah. Not quite there yet.
Okay. 1840s.
1840s.
All right. I mean, far less interesting to me, but I'll hear you out. I'm sorry. That was a dick thing to say.
I'm interested in it. They even allegedly took over. Actually, I don't even think it's allegedly. They like took over some of the colonial graveyard they had going on there. And we'll kind of get into some of that later, but they put like a parade field, a housing area.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like just over top of it?
I think they dug up some of them.
Oh, God.
But we're going to get to the rest of that at the very end.
Okay, great.
I mean, I feel like that's such a big theme with we'll talk about it later. It later.
Right. Well, here, in preparation, I have gone ahead and scooted.
Scoot. Fort Vancouver was an active military institution for 150 years and was very significant in settling the PNW. Pacific Northwest. Wow. Pacific Northwest. This is a quote from their site. And I just wanted to read it because I love now that a lot of places are really acknowledging the past and how it affected people in good and also some very awful ways. So we can celebrate these kinds of historical milestones, but also have respect and remembrance for the lives that it negatively affected.
Yeah, just I feel like more transparency.
Yeah.
Whether good or bad, just
like this is really what happened. Let's not whitewash fucking everything forever.
Just be factual. That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're starting to get there. So their website says, quote, March 19th, 2025 marks the 200th anniversary of Fort Vancouver on March 19th, 1825.
Okay.
In this year, we honor the Indigenous people who have cared for this land since time immemorial. Remember the far-reaching effects of the fur trade centered at Fort Vancouver and stride forward to a new century of storytelling.
I like it.
Sounds like they're working on things. And their website has like a ton of historical information on it. Like tons.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So we're going to go on and talk about some of these houses that are just gorgeous on Fort Vancouver. And this is known as Officers Row. So they were, this is a row of 21 Victorian mansions originally built for military families. They fell into disrepair when the military was no longer stationing people there, but they were listed on the national list of historic places and were renovated. So now they're rented out as townhouses and business offices. And they are just gorgeous. They look like Victorian homes. I feel like they look big for just like military families to live in. And it looks like maybe not a wraparound porch, but like a really big porch. Yeah. And then one of those like turret things. Is that what it's called? A turret?
I don't know if that would be called a church. I mean, could be. That almost looks more like a bell tower to me. But
I feel like they're
maybe
kind
a
of
church?
similar things. They're so pretty. There's 21 of those that they like re-renovated. They renovated.
Re-renovated.
And there are a bunch of other really gorgeous homes. We'll talk about at least one other one down here. But we all know what happens when things get renovated. So paranormal activity obviously picks up. Oh, and this is some of the housing that I referred to earlier where they might be on top of some of those colonial graves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Just kidding about my thoughts of maybe relocating.
I don't know if you want to live in these.
No.
They sound pretty haunted. So in some of the homes, people have felt cold spots, which I'm feeling right now. I am a walking cold spot. Doors opening and closing, footsteps. People have felt a phantom touch. I don't know why I said it like that, but I
like
loved it.
that.
Yeah, especially since you have been phantom touched.
Yeah, I don't care for it.
Phones will ring, and even when they're unplugged. Because I'm like, phones ring. Okay. But like, if you unplug, they're the old phone. They're not cell phones. Okay. They're like landlines. Like
plugged into the wall.
They have to have power.
And shit.
Yeah. They're not battery operated. Okay.
I don't like that.
And I guess the coffee seems to go missing from the coffee pot, which I'm like really offended by.
I think that's kind of funny.
It is. I don't know. I guess like what to leave as an offering for them.
That's true.
Like, just
that's
make a little extra coffee in your pot.
Honestly, I feel like that would be one of those things that I might not notice for like a long time. But then Chris, the OCD to my ADHD, would be like, I know exactly how much coffee there was. And that would be the thing that would make him start to question, what's going on in this house?
Where's the coffee going?
Where's the coffee going?
So now we can go down to that Grant house. The red one.
Ooh.
So cool.
Wait, it's red?
It's like brick, right? Or maybe I might just be seeing like the flags and then the chimneys and assuming it's red.
Chimneys.
Chimney.
It looks like a house at the beach. It looks like it has like shingles.
Ooh, yeah, it kind of. Oh, yeah, it does.
That's a lot of. That's a lot of flags.
Yeah.
Arguably, like a few too many flags. I don't know.
Very patriotic. It is a military institution, so hence the camo. I know mine's kind of like black, blue camo. So this house is the oldest house in Officers Row, and it is the Grant House, built in 1949 as the first commanding officer's quarters of Ulysses S. Grant.
Ooh.
But Grant didn't actually live there.
Oh.
Don't get too excited. I guess they just built him a house and was like, you can stay here if you want. And then he was like, no.
I don't really care.
I got a bigger house somewhere else.
Yeah.
Which is like he did live in another house somewhere else. So.
All right, well,
They used the building as an officers' club and residence for high-ranking visiting officials. It has beautiful wraparound covered verandas on the first and the second floor.
Second floor.
Wraparound covered verandas. Oh,
honestly,
dreams.
I'm here for that.
I always want like a second floor like balcony. That's
yes.
like goals in life. It doesn't have to be a wraparound, but I mean that would be great.
Yeah. That'd be really awesome.
Today it is the Grant House Folk Art Center and Grant House Restaurant.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So people don't live there anymore. It's just like an art museum type of thing and a restaurant.
Okay, but we could go and eat there and like pretend that we live there.
Maybe. I don't know what the rooms look like. I don't know if they have like beds and shit.
Well, it doesn't matter. We're just pretending.
Well, we'll see if you still want to go there after this.
Oh, okay. I forgot what day it was. What we were talking about.
You forgot that Cassie is literally ruining every cool thing that ever happened in the Pacific Northwest.
You said it. You said it.
Sorry. I'm nasty.
You nasty.
There's a known spirit at the restaurant named Sully. And that is a real person. General Alfred Sully, commander of Vancouver Barracks from 1874 to 1879. So I guess 5 years.
Okay. I was thinking of a
Wait,
different
yeah.
Sully, and I was like, I don't think he's a ghost.
Not
Captain
Tom
Sully.
Hanks.
Yeah.
It is not Tom Hanks. I was like, I got my movies right? Okay.
Yeah, no, you nailed it.
I've never even seen that movie.
Yeah. I think
The guy who landed the plane on the lake?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They hit the.
That was Tom Cruise. Not Tom Cruise. Not Tom Cruise.
Oh
Tom Hanks.
No, Tom Cruise would have had to have made up some sort of a scene where he jumped out of the plane. If
hopefully landed on something pokey. Allegedly. People in the restaurant get a strange sense of his presence and get the feeling that he's supervising.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
People hear and him. It says his. It's supposed to say him.
Oh.
People hear and see him pacing the halls. I was like, see his what pacing the halls?
His body.
Out on the verandas, people have seen a tall man in a long old-fashioned coat with a beard. And I don't know if that's Sully or somebody else, but I Googled pictures of him and he does have a beard. So it could be him.
Okay, I'm going to ask you the question that I think everybody wants to know.
Is he hot?
Yeah, was he hot?
I don't remember. I literally just Googled to see if he had a beard. Let's Google him again.
I mean, he has a beard, so I'm just going to assume that you thought he was hot.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of old-timey military men aren't my thing. You know?
Interesting.
No, it was not the kind of beard that I...
Not that. Not the hotness.
It was just like a mustache.
Oh,
mustache,
like the handlebar type situation? Or
that and a small beard, like a pointy one, and then nothing on the side. I like a full...
Yeah, it's a lumberjack look for you.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the barracks. So building 993, as of 2013 at least, is occupied by the Washington Army National Guard.
Oh.
So they still kind of use this place. This was 2013, so up to 2025. I'm not sure if they are still using it.
Okay. Yeah.
But people say the building has just like a general creepy vibe.
Cool.
Just in general.
Ooh.
But especially the basement of the West Wing. Okay. People get strong feelings of someone watching them, like enough to where you actually turn around because you keep thinking somebody is there.
I don't like that.
I don't like that either. I've only felt like that a couple of times in my life, and it's very uncomfortable.
You've only felt like that a couple of times in your life?
I told you, things don't happen to me.
We're living such different lives.
And I really can only think of the one time. I can't even think of the second time where this apparently has happened to me. I can only think of one time. I was cleaning a house and I was so uncomfortable. I no clue what was in that house, but it was very uncomfortable.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Because I clean tons of houses. And I clean creepy houses that don't even faze me. I clean a haunted house where the TV kept turning on and didn't even, it didn't feel creepy. But that house, for some reason, is so weird. And it was just a normal townhouse, attached to other houses. So strange. Yeah.
I've literally had that feeling more than once in the same day.
I thought you were going to say, yeah, right now. In this episode.
No, I mean, no, not specifically.
Are you sure it's not your dogs watching you?
That creature?
Snoozing with her back turned to you and her nose buried in the couch.
She is so passed out. I could probably offer her some sort of snack.
Well, we'll have to come back to this and you'll have to tell us all of your stories about when you felt like you were being watched.
Okay. Some of them are just such small little things. It's it barely even feels like there's a story there because you just get that creepy feel. Yeah. I don't know.
But it is a thing. People just get creepy vibes places and this is one of them.
Okay.
There's a lot of stories of stuff moving around unexplainably, like big stuff.
Okay, I was going to say, because I feel like I forget where I put things all the time. Right. And it's really hard to not feel like you're crazy when you just lose stuff in your own home.
Which I do all the time. But this is big stuff. So Someone cleaning the floors had stacked chairs up against one wall.
Okay.
And when they came back after the weekend, they found that the chairs were against the inside door, blocking the door from opening.
Oh, shit.
Right. So, like, I don't know if they asked if anyone was in there. I imagine they'd asked around and, you know, seen if anyone else was in there. But why would someone stack them against the door?
Right. And how? I feel like
Yeah.
is kind of the question. Like, didn't they leave the room?
Right.
At some point?
Maybe there
Like,
was 2 entrances to the room.
there had to have been, right?
I'm not 100% sure. It didn't really say. But that's very curious if there was only one door into that place.
Mhm.
And then, but like,
They climbed out a window?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
but also it was over the weekend. So like
Okay.
no one would be there working or cleaning. And this place
Yeah.
it's not like a bustling military place anymore.
Right.
It's just like there's some offices here and there, some people who live there, but
Okay.
it's not like constantly being cleaned or like having people in these buildings. So I don't know that there would be really someone there on the weekend moving chairs around.
Yeah, that doesn't seem... The one thing I could see, and this is more just like out on a limb here, I feel like this seems like almost like a Ferris Bueller type thing,
Like
where like
kids.
they come... Yes. Yeah. This seems like could be like a teenage prank,
Right.
where literally they go and they stack all the chairs and like block the door, and then they climb out the window because they're like,
yeah.
I'm a fucking teenager and I don't care. I'll jump out the window.
Right, that's true. Yeah, because I
don't
was like,
know.
how would they get in? I don't know if there's a security system. I don't.
But I mean, that's a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible, but it's still weird either way.
It is
something that
very
happened.
weird.
Yeah.
I feel like that almost speaks to like an energy of weirdness that like convinced a group of teenagers. If it was a group of teenagers that did it,
Yeah.
like what's driving them to that?
Right.
Because that's a weird prank.
Yeah. To just put chairs in front of the door.
Oh,
Like,
it's weird.
you think they would do more stuff? Like toilet paper the inside or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless they heard it was haunted and they're like, let's just do some weird stuff and make them think it was make the cleaner think it was ghosts.
Yeah.
Like, why do they care if the janitor thinks there's ghosts?
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah. And they did specifically say that they locked the room. They do say room. So I'm like, I'm thinking this is just like one room and not like, why would it have multiple entrances?
Well, I
I don't
mean,
know.
I guess it depends on like the size of the room. Like if it was like a large, like common area
Yeah.
space of a building,
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
But I'm also like, I don't know if they locked it up. It's just odd. But it gets weirder.
Okay.
It gets weirder. So just casually, an 80-pound safe that was locked in the weapons vault room in that
Okay.
basement
Okay.
with a very secure combination physical key and keypad.
Okay.
They said it had moved from the other side of the wall. So I don't know if they mean that like the opposite side of the room or just like down the wall a little bit. But either way, an 80-pound safe in this locked ass room
Okay.
moved.
Okay.
Whether it was like across the room or just down the wall, that's weird.
I'm gonna grab this instead, because if I keep going this way, I'm going to end this episode bald.
Don't do that. I don't know. That just makes me think the chair thing is even more weird because like this room is so locked. No teenagers are breaking into this room.
Okay, yeah, that all right.
Like key code. It's their weapons vault. So that's not like, I'm sure it has alarms on it. Like it's not unsecure. So that's weird.
All right. Well, that was sort of a, like I said, that was a little bit of a reach.
You're going to love this one too.
Okay, great.
So the fire alarm has a mind of its own. Constantly beeping at odd times, and maintenance has been unable to figure out why. Someone working in the building said it almost felt as if the alarm was like messing with him. Like it would beep when his back was turned and would stop when he went into the direction of the basement. So I felt like it was like trying to like hot or cold, like beep, 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 don't come over here. And then like you're going over that way, it stops annoying you.
You know, like when you've got a gaslighting ghost, like that one time where my AirPods were just like missing and then all of a sudden they were like in plain sight.
Where are my AirPods? God damn it.
Yeah. I don't think that's a ghost thing for you. I think that's just a I lost my AirPods thing.
I don't know, dude.
So weird.
I always keep them in my purse. Where the fuck else would my AirPods have gone?
So weird.
I've been yelling at the ghosts constantly, telling them to give my fucking AirPods back. I'm mad.
I considered, so this is when we were on the trip with Christina.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I had the weirdness of like, oh, I felt something cold. And then it felt like almost like we thought it was maybe the cat.
Right.
Like a cat ghost.
The phantom touch.
Yeah. And then I think it was that next morning when we were on that trip that I couldn't find my AirPods. And I was like, they fall out in my sleep all the time. All the time. I mean, that's normal. Like if you thrash,
right,
you move around in your sleep like I do,
of
course they're going to fall out, you know? And they were in the bed, but I had already done like a sweep of the whole bed. And I don't like that.
Have you ever had your AirPods fall out and you like think it's like a spider? I did that one time. I fully smacked myself in the face because it like kind of trickled out of my ear and then down my neck. And I was like, spider! I woke up and I hit myself. And it was just my AirPod falling out of my ear.
Honestly, I think a spider is touching me probably at least once a week. And more often than not, it's my own hair.
Yeah. Same.
I feel like that's why someday something actually serious might happen to me and Chris will be like, she's probably fine. I'm like the boy who cried wolf.
Crawled wolf. Okay, so we're going to move on to another building, 647. Doors left closed and locked will be found open. So it's these ghosts like just don't, these spirits just don't care about locks.
Yeah, they have boundary issues.
They really do.
Mm-hmm.
One night, a custodian placed tape over the door to check for tampering, which is like very smart. Like, is this kids or like someone fucking with me? Let's put tape on the door. And the next day, the door was found unlocked, but the tape was not broken. So riddle me that, kids.
Riddle me that.
So I'm like, I don't know. Did he put tape over like the lock part? I'm not sure where he put the tape.
Yeah,
but
that's interesting. I'm like, could you have peeled it off?
Right.
Like,
did someone put the tape back? I don't know.
Oh, they put new tape or I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, if they just like put tape over like the lock part where you like put the key.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But who brings tape with them when they're breaking in somewhere?
It's just part of your B&E kit.
Great. Now we're giving people hints.
Only for nonviolent crime.
You know what you have to do is do like what the magicians do and like sign the piece of tape.
Oh, yeah.
And take like a picture of it or something. So you have like evidence of what it looked like and maybe make it in a way so no one can recreate it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. In 1904, one of the most modern and efficient military hospitals was built. Soon after World War I hit, sorry, we're still not to World War II.
God.
So this was built soon after World War I hit, and the hospital was overrun with injured soldiers.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah. But also took on workers from the area's lumber mills. So there could have been some lumberjacks up in there.
I was going to say, famously, a lot of injured people in world wars and also
lumber mills.
Lumber stuff.
You remember Bandage Man?
Sure do.
Yeah. Lumber mill guy.
Mm-hmm.
And they also dealt with a flu epidemic. So they just had a lot of people in there.
Yeah, that's the World War I era.
Yeah.
I feel like just nar.
During this time, the hospital had less than 400 beds, but was treating over 2,550 patients per month.
I'm sorry, I need you to say the numbers again.
The hospital had less than 400 beds.
Okay.
And was treating over 2,550 patients a month.
Okay. Yeah. And I thought that was what you said, That doesn't feel like the maths, but I trust you. I can't make it make sense.
Not that all of those 20, let's just say 2,500.
Yeah.
Those 2,500 people were there at the same time. But like
the amount of turnover.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's insane.
And I imagine like, especially some of the injured soldiers were there for a while, and the people with the flu, I don't know. Like, it seems like these people needed to maybe it wasn't just like, here's a Band-Aid and a shot and you get to go home.
Yeah. I feel like famously, World War I soldiers, not a lot of injuries resolved with Band-Aids.
Yeah. Probably not a lot of soldiers at any point in any wars. At any time. The post hospital closed in 1946. So wait, right in time for World War II. It was like, no more wars.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's like
the end of it.
That's the baby boomer era.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know like how many people they had been treating at that point. For World War II, I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
And then it was used for administration until the 90s and has been mostly vacant since.
Oh, okay.
And obviously, going back to the time where they were treating those 2,500 patients per month with only 400 beds.
Yeah.
Obviously, they weren't able to cure all of these people.
Yeah, I was assuming that with that many people being seen on average each month, probably not everybody was
living.
Yep.
So they did end up with more bodies than they could fit in the morgue.
That's not usually
unfortunately
good.
Yeah, no. So they apparently had to use whatever available space they could, including a shed that was on the property.
Oh, no.
And the shed was eventually torn down. Okay. I can't imagine why.
I was going to say probably it was condemned for bad vibes.
I can't even imagine like, I just picture like, I hate this visual, but I just picture like stacking bodies up against like the walls. And then like, what is on the wall? I don't know. I don't know if that's how it was. I'm sure that they were.
It's very of that era. Yeah. Unfortunately. I feel like the stacking of bodies, we hear that in a different context, typically of that time. But I
don't know. They could have been on tables. It could have been very proper. And I don't know. I'm just, that's the visual I have. And like, please tear the shed down.
Right. Yeah. Maybe get that out of here.
But no new grass or anything would ever grow there again after they tore down the shed. So I feel like just bad, dead energy.
Have they tried Miracle Grow?
No, but they tried making it into a parking lot, which usually works for bad vibe areas where things won't grow. I feel like we've heard that before.
So many times.
Like, things won't grow there. Let's just put a parking lot. It's fine. But I mean, if it can't be used for you don't want to put a building there. I feel like parking lots sometimes are just like creepy vibes.
Yeah.
And that's probably why.
I feel like it makes sense. That tracks for me.
Okay, so we're going to just pick up where I left off. We got a couple pages left of this Fort Vancouver to talk about.
Excellent.
So there's a man named Jeff Davis that runs tours of Fort Vancouver, like historical and paranormal tours. And he has several military history and paranormal books. Including Weird Washington and Weird Oregon, which I had set out on my shelf when we started this. He's also, of course, done paranormal investigations around Fort Vancouver, or like in multiple buildings on Fort Vancouver. And one he did at the post hospital that we just talked about. He experienced unusual battery drain. So, you start off with, like, I was literally just complaining about this. You start off with a full battery.
Yes.
Everything's turned off. You turn it back on and then it's like completely dead. So,
yeah.
What's that about?
That's the only thing that consistently happens to you that's, I feel like, feels like it could be spooky.
Right. And maybe it's just a thing. I don't know. Is it a thing to fully charge your laptop and then shut it down? And then expect to have it completely charged when you turn it on? Like, where does the life go?
Where does the battery go?
We don't know. So stuff like that where, you pull out a camera and expect it to be fully charged or how you left it and it's dead.
And it's super not.
So like the ghosts theoretically use that energy to manifest and do things. That's the theory anyway.
I like that as theories go.
So when he would start to move into the patient's wing, his camera battery would suddenly die after having a full charge. Oh, so sorry. There was a little bit more detail on that I just like talked and didn't even get to. So that is interesting. It wasn't just like when he got there, it was when he moved into the patient's wing that the full charge just would drain. He said he would use the women's restroom while he was there because I think he said it was like the closest,
Hmm.
or like maybe it was the only one working because I don't think the building was mostly vacant. So I don't know if they had like multiple working bathrooms or, there
Yeah.
wasn't like women in and out of there. So it was just like the closest bathroom and
Right.
he decided to use it. And he was the only one like taking people on tours in there. So like everyone knows like he's in the women's bathroom. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like a creepy thing. But either way, he found that all the toilet seats were up, which I think is pretty normal for like cleaners to do when you clean. No, you either leave it up or you leave it down. I don't know. Some cleaners choose to leave it up. Some put it down.
I really hate that. And I feel like I always encounter where they leave it up. And I feel like particularly in the women's room, it's kind of like, I feel like, I don't know, when you clean like an office space or like any sort of a building, I just feel like don't just put things back the way you found it.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
sort of get it because it's like if you're leaving it up, that's less of a chance for you to forget to clean it. Like, I don't know, you're going to see that it's, some people, I don't know, close it and like put the solution in and close it and then clean the rest. I'm thinking too much about this because I clean houses for a living. So.
I know. I'm thinking back to all of the times where like I was cleaning personally and professionally.
Yeah. Yeah, I would inspect a lot of cleaners and I would open the toilet and find like solution, but like it wasn't clean, So.
Yeah. You're like,
you forgot something? Or, mostly I would have to go back to my car and like go fix it for them. But anyway, moving along, we can cut that out if it's not useful. Well, it's funny you mentioned that you specifically think that it's odd and you would like to have it down, is what I gather. Because he felt like that was weird too. And so he said, being a trained man, his quotes, he went and actually closed them all down because like assuming his wife or whatever always would want him to put the toilet seats down. So he went and did it in, having respect for the women's room, which I think is really nice.
Are they leaving the toilet seats up in deference to him? Is that like a ghostly thing? They're like, it's cool.
Maybe because he didn't really think it was a ghostly thing at this point. He probably assumed what I did and was like, oh, like someone cleaned in here and just didn't put the toilet seats down. But like all these women are gonna come in here and be like, dang it, I gotta put this down myself. I gotta touch this thing with my fingers. Ew. But he went back up there later and he found that they were all open again. So like I said, vacant building. He does tours in there. Like not a lot of people going through there. I assume they don't clean them like that frequently that it would happen like twice in one day in that like short amount of time. Cause it was on this same tour that he went back up there. So I assume it was like within the hour, within a couple hours. I don't know, but that's kind of weird.
Yeah. I mean, I would say even if it was like several hours later, that would, it's weird. It's just,
it's not being clean like that. Like it's not a movie theater or like a grocery store.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It's not seeing that level of like turnover.
Yeah. On one of these paranormal investigations of the hospital, they attempted to stay the night outside the morgue, which is now a library. Which is, I think, is really cool.
Love a library. I don't know that I love one that used to be the site of a morgue. I don't care for that.
I want that. I want to go read books inside of an old morgue. Okay, so the morgue actually, or the library was locked. So they, I think I meant to say, I said they attempted to stay the night outside the morgue and they wanted to
Oh.
stay the night inside the morgue, but they couldn't because it was locked.
Oh,
So
okay.
they ended up sleeping right outside of it or trying to sleep, but they woke up and they heard kind of like a squeaking sound and realized it was one of the tables rocking. So they left. They didn't stay the night.
Yeah, I feel like if the table starts rocking, like
Yeah. And I don't know like what kind of table it was. I don't know if it's just like a regular table or if it was like a surgical table or like an operating table. I'm not really sure because it's a
yeah.
hospital. But either way, a table like rocking on its own when nothing else around it is like squeaking and moving. I would probably stay the night because I want more stuff like that to happen. But I don't know if that happened right in front of me. I don't know. I would maybe scream and run away. It also reminded me of, I don't know if you remember Ben's story from the Places Forgotten episode.
Mhm.
And he heard like pounding on an embalming table. It kind of reminded me of that. Like what's out there pounding and like
I
moving tables around?
I don't like that. Okay, and actually that kind of like connects those two stories in a weird way. 'Cause I mean,
Yeah.
it's a morgue.
Do you think like the energy gets like absorbed into the table maybe?
Oh god.
Do you think there's not a lot of energy if it's deceased people laying on it, like how much energy do they even have left? Maybe it absorbs like their last, I don't know. I'm
I
totally just
mean,
like rambling about absorbed
well,
energy here.
well, I'm just saying, like, all of that energy that we're talking about with any sort of a haunt, it's a deceased person. So, like, I
Yeah,
feel like,
yeah.
I don't know. I think I just invalidated your whole argument.
Who know? I mean, nobody knows. Like, yeah, could be anything. Okay. So also something really strange happened. They had very specifically synced their watches to the car clock before they started their investigation, before they left the car and went into the hospital. And when they
Okay.
got back to the car, neither of their watches matched the car or each other. Which I feel like isn't that weird because my car clock, I don't know, it goes wonky all the time. But do watches do that kind of thing? You think they would at
I
least match
mean,
each other, or maybe.
yeah, I feel like if it's got to match something, okay? Because if all three were synced, the fact that their two watches don't even match,
Yeah.
that actually, I feel like that's freakier. If it
Yeah.
didn't
I
match the
don't know.
car, if one of their watches like didn't match the car, I'd be like, that's kind of a nothing burger. But the fact that it doesn't match the car, they don't match each other.
And it was
I don't
like
know.
wasn't even 24 hours later, you know? Like they had went
Yeah.
in, did an investigation, tried to stay the night and left. And so I feel like it would take a lot more time for it to be off by that much.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like you don't have to I don't think you have to, like, sync up or, like, maintenance your watch that much. I literally don't even own a watch, so what do I know? But
Yeah, me neither. Okay, so I told you we would come back to the cemetery. Are you excited? We should be because this is kind of cool. So,
okay.
uh, like a lot of really old graves, a lot of the markers were wooden, so they
Mm,
totally degraded with time. They did
yeah.
not keep up. And graves were also moved to another location. So,
Mm.
some people were dug up and
No.
relocated, whoever they could find,
Oh, I
but I'm
don't like
sure
that. No.
inevitably some were left behind.
Yeah, they're not finding every yeah,
Yeah.
they're not
Yeah.
finding everybody, and that I don't
No, it's really sad, but, like, what are you gonna do if you have to it's not, like, your fault if you have to move them that they didn't have grave markers that,
I
stood the
you
test
know
of time.
though, I just feel like I'm very anti relocating entire cemeteries.
Dog.
Okay, and clearly the universe agrees.
So even a lot of the people that they did end up moving since their graves, their markers weren't there, so that now they're just marked unknown because they didn't know who they
Oh.
were, but at least they have like an unknown marker.
Okay,
Yeah.
listen, as a currently alive person, I feel like that might be upsetting to the dead.
Yeah. It is sad. I mean, I like to think they don't care too much about like what happens back on Earth because they're not here anymore. But it is just sad to have like that unknown status or unmarked or
I don't know, that feels icky and dismissive. I realize, this is not like the first time that this has happened. Um, it's not a unique situation, but I just feel like that it's never good. It's never
yeah.
good when that happens. It's never
Yeah.
good. I don't mm,
Hopefully nowadays we're better at keeping records and like this kind of stuff won't
ah,
happen too often. But I mean, I'm sure it still does. Not like
I
it's
mean,
gonna go away completely.
no, because there's the element of human error. I literally
Yeah.
was um I was listening to a story about babies that were switched in the hospital.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
scary.
which you think, "Oh, well that probably is from like the 1950s, right?" And as I feel like the one that I was listening to more recently was like the early 2000s.
Oh God.
Can
That's
you
crazy.
imagine? Can you
No.
imagine?
No. I can't imagine having a kid, let
Well, I
alone
mean,
having it
sure.
switched.
I know. But after you get past that first hurdle,
Yeah. Oh my God, no,
I
that's
know.
awful for,
Everyone
like,
involved.
everybody. Yeah. Oh my
Everyone.
God.
Horrendous.
Anyway, well, hopefully that doesn't happen to any of
I
you.
know.
One gravesite that they have lost track of over time is John McLoughlin Jr. So, yeah, that is the son of Dr. John McLoughlin, who we talked about earlier in the episode. And John, what? Are you like shocked for other reasons?
Well, I'm just like, really? That
Yeah.
feels like kind of an important person to have just like lost. I realize he's
Yeah.
already dead, but like,
Yeah.
yikes.
And I'm not sure the circumstances on why it was lost, but I'll go through and I'll tell you a little bit of information and we can maybe discuss after. So, John Jr. was also a chief trader for the Hudson's Bay Company, like his father, but at Fort Stuyvesant in Alaska, which is
Oh.
present day Wrangell, Alaska.
Oh.
And he was actually murdered by his employees who claimed self-defense. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Okay.
So when I was reading about Dr. John McLoughlin, they say that he left Hudson's Bay Company for personal reasons. And this was the personal reasons.
I was going to say that feels pretty personal.
It sounds like quite the scandal. The company's governor did an investigation and found John to have been in a drunken rage and justified his murder.
Oh, wow.
So there was obviously going to be tension between the company's governor and one of the post's chief traders.
Yeah, that would do it. That would cause some problems.
Yeah, totally.
I feel like in that era, was everyone not just constantly in a drunken rage though? Like I feel like
right.
I mean, this is I mean, to steal a phrase, people are still shitting in the streets and they're drinking alcohol instead of water because it's safer.
I guess I don't know. Like, does it excuse you? Like, they say like he came and like attacked and like drunkenly. I don't know.
So he was the aggressor from.
That's what they say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is why they all, and I don't know how many of them, but there were multiple employees. So I'm like, but you all had to overcome and overpower him. Could you not just like tie him up or something? Like, I don't.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe just eliminate the threat, restrain him.
Yeah. So I don't know how good of an investigation this person did. But his father was not pleased with the outcome, and he left the company less than a year later. So, that was like clearly why.
Now I want to look into that.
I know. Yeah, maybe you can find out more because I just read like one of the articles on it. Yeah, I would love to hear more about that if you can.
Oh my gosh, he was only 29. Wow.
Chief trader, though.
Little bit of nepotism.
I was going to say Nepo babies. Am I right?
You know, you're not the president.
So we're going to move on to tarot for Fort Vancouver. And I brought my crow deck because I don't know. I was just feeling it. Been feeling my crows.
I was going to say, is there really a time that you're not feeling the crow deck?
Not really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like my favorite deck now, I think.
Oh, yeah, interesting. I did a reading, and I don't even know if I told you that I did this. I did a reading for my mom with our new deck. With our
you did
deck.
tell me, but you didn't tell me the deets.
It was interesting. As always, she remains convinced that the cards don't like her.
Well, they don't like anybody.
Yeah. Listen, they clearly are not playing favorites.
Or maybe it's her vibe, maybe she needs to change her vibe.
Yeah, just like change your vibe.
All right. Do you want to send me your Fort Vancouver vibes? We're going to try not to drop all the cards today. At 201 new me.
What?
Like New Year, new me. I don't know. At 201 new me.
Oh my God.
It didn't rhyme because I couldn't think on my feet fast enough. Okay, where do you think?
I feel like where your ring finger is, like in that neighborhood somewhere.
This guy?
Yeah. I know what a ring finger looks like. How dare you?
Well, I'm asking because it's technically not a ring finger because it's on my right hand, but
it's still a ring finger.
It's my self ring finger.
Yeah, like people buy themselves right hand rings.
Okay. Ooh, we got the Hierophant in reverse.
Ooh.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. Which is interesting because immediately I see a key on it. And I remember like all of those doors that were locking and unlocking and they were being left locked and they were being found unlocked. And even the person put like tape on one of the doors to make sure it wasn't being tampered with. So that's interesting that I see like a key. Yeah. But it was in reverse. And it looks like they're in like a chapel or something with like stained glass. We always post pictures on our Instagram, or you can see it in our Patreon or YouTube videos.
Ooh.
Patreon's always ad-free, just FYI, in case you guys forgot.
Just in case you were wondering. So our keywords are spiritual authority, leadership, tradition, and institutions.
I feel like institutions, like military.
Yeah, wow. There's a number of different types and I guess ways to interpret institutions.
Yeah.
Like the mental variety, institutions like of our government, like the military,
hospital.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like that kind of applies in maybe a few different ways. The Hierophant is a figure of authority and power. I mean, that says military all over the place.
Yeah.
Like the Emperor, but the Hierophant's power is of a spiritual nature. So I feel like that's pretty... I'm digging this card so far for this application. I'm just going to say.
It is like a very religious card too. I feel like it's like the most...
Yeah.
One of the most religious type of cards.
Often he's shown as a religious leader, and some decks call him the Pope.
Interesting.
Sometimes he's seated on a throne dressed in priestly, I'm going to say garb. Because
Okay.
yep. Sometimes he's seated on a throne dressed in priestly garb, crowned and holding a scepter. In the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, acolytes stand before him, deferring to his wisdom as a representative of religious authority. He may represent a person who's dedicated to a religion or philosophy, or he can indicate that you're trying to break away from religious influence or dictates. In a broad sense, this card can refer to any organized institution, religious or otherwise, that exerts authority over its followers.
So way back in the very beginning, when we talked about Dr. John McLoughlin wanting to have like peaceful relations with the Indigenous people, and
Oh.
that quote that I read where he said, it is proved by experience that the only way to gain the confidence of Indians and have influence over them is by having establishments on their land. So like building institutions on their land and having them like work for
Oh, yeah.
like
No,
that
that's
whole thing just totally ties in with that.
it's such a good point, but I think it's interesting that he seems to imply there that um is only applicable to like the native or indigenous population. And I'm like, I think that probably applies to any sort of a population in a similar circumstance. Like, I,
Yeah.
I
Yeah, it's
but
just like moving into where people already are and like
right.
establishing good relations with them by
Mm-hmm.
encouraging your employees to marry them and have kids with them and hire them. Yeah. So
Hmm.
interesting.
Okay, so if the Hierophant is reversed, it shows you're assessing your position. You may long to break away from an old tradition, religious, ideological, intellectual, or cultural, that no longer serves your needs. You want to live by whatever philosophy or belief structure resonates with your true nature, even if this puts you into conflict with others.
Mhm.
Perhaps your faith is being challenged in some way, and you must reevaluate things you've taken for granted until now in order to be your own person.
I don't know, that sounds too like just the white people moving in and expecting everyone else there to like follow what they do and
Okay,
yeah.
there's an extra excerpt here.
Okay.
There's two. Keys to the Mysteries. The Rider-Waite-Smith deck shows two crossed keys below the Hierophant. These mark him as a teacher who holds the keys to the sacred mysteries. The keys also represent the intellect and intuition and the need to use them in tandem.
Does that make you think of like the safe that had like the 3 different keys to it?
A little bit, right?
Yeah, interesting.
Okay, and this second one, I don't know. I'm interested to see what you think of this. Okay. When the experience of the breath of God becomes morality, and morality becomes legality, and legality becomes a system of outer customs and conventions, then the process of degeneration lies unveiled before us.
Whoa. That was like really deep.
Yeah.
Like I feel that vibe here though, just like with
Mhm.
everything. I mean, it was kind of taken over twice. Like the land was taken over by the fur trading company and then the military came in and kind of just like took all that over.
Uh-huh.
Like it just
Yeah.
thinks and now it's taken over by like ghosts basically.
Yeah, which is yeah, that's interesting, but I mean, I think the linkage of, like, morality and, like, legality, and I think it's important to sort of denote that there is that's not a distinction without a difference, because what's legal versus illegal versus moral versus immoral
Right.
can be very different things.
It really is. And I feel like I don't have anything smart. I feel like I have nothing smart to add to that because it was just like kind of so
Oh,
perfect.
I know. Well, yeah, no, I mean, it's very profound. And so everything that we say from here after is sort
Yeah.
of just blah, 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 blah,
I
blah,
mean,
blah.
thank goodness for you because you always sound smart.
Well, I mean, I just read it. So
You did. You had a good opinion on it.
okay.
Yay. Was
Yay.
that it?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay, let's see.
Oh, I guess I didn't read the bullets. I was like,
Hmm.
that did seem short.
I don't know if any of them, they might apply. I don't know.
In regards to money, it's rejecting the material world to follow a spiritual path. It can indicate arrogance in financial areas and an attitude that you don't need to play by the rules because you're above all that, which is a very,
Mm.
very interesting, very nepo baby attitude. A very,
Yeah.
like, very of potentially, some military figures. I don't.
Yeah. It reminded me of John Jr. though. Like I can just
Yes.
I'm the
Yeah.
boss. I can do whatever I want. I
Yeah.
can go in a drunken rage, but also
Right.
maybe the people who maybe took advantage of that or the person who investigated it. Maybe
Mhm.
he was just like, oh, well, I'm in charge now. I can investigate this however I want and leave things out. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, but
Yeah. I mean, we weren't actually there, but
we
I
can
think
imagine maybe
Yeah.
what had happened.
based on historical context and, what we do know. Cassie. Okay. I know who I think this sounds like, and I want you to tell me who you think. What do you think? How do you?
What? What do you think, lady? I elbowed the. Aw.
Okay. If the reading is about your job, you're probably questioning authority or the limitations in your workplace. Sometimes the reversed Hierophant indicates leaving an organization that you feel is unprincipled or that doesn't hold your values.
Okay. Dr. John McLoughlin
Dr. John.
leaving, not agreeing with how his son's murder investigation was handled.
I'm just saying.
Crazy. We did it again.
God damn it. I think we did it again.
Yeah, I was totally questioning this because it's like such like a religious figure card, but I think in this case it's more of like a power figure.
It is. I think I think it speaks more to authority.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just sort of thinking about that. Should I read the last bullet?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. All right. In a reading about love, the reversed Hierophant may mean you feel trapped in a relationship because you're afraid to buck a social, religious, or cultural order. This card can also indicate a relationship in which one person holds most of the power or is judgmental or dogmatic.
I mean, yeah, that just goes back to those authority figures that we talked about, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think some of those it's like it can apply in so many dynamics where it's like, okay, yeah, I mean, not a religious institution, per se, but it applies in those authoritarian.
And I do feel like the military is like pretty religious though. I feel like.
It's hard to divorce that
Yeah.
from our country in so many aspects. And I feel like
yeah, maybe that's more what I'm thinking is like one nation under God.
Well, okay. I mean, so the argument can be made that obviously a big part of what our country was founded on is, it's the separation of, church and state.
Yeah. They feel like they didn't quite get there.
No taxation without representation. There's that. It's, arguably of course, it all comes back to, show me the money. Um, but the religious component of having that freedom, it's such, I mean, you can't separate that from the founding of this country and from the very earliest white settlers. So I don't know.
Can you say this country again with your Southern Marm accent?
This country.
I just love it.
Do you know what I always picture when I do like kind of when I do that? Do you know what I'm picturing?
What?
Okay, do you remember there was a Netflix, it's like a cartoon show, and it was basically like about a bunch of horny kids. I am drawing such
Big
a
Mouth?
yes.
Got you.
I am always Maya Rudolph in Big Mouth when I'm doing that. I'm picturing the character. I'm picturing like
Bubble bath.
bubble bath.
Yeah, I love her. That's so funny. What's her name again? I can't remember.
Maya Rudolph.
Yeah, what's what's her hormone monster's name though?
Oh, who cares?
Got a name.
I don't know
it. Well, what do we say at the end of this?
I don't know.
Have a
the
creepy ass
day.
day. We'll see you next Tuesday.
We'll be there.
Happy 200th anniversary, Fort Vancouver.
It's like kind of a big deal when you get to 200, you know?
Yeah, it is. We know. Not 200 years.
Oh, no.
Although
obviously.
it feels like it.
A little bit. But obviously I mean, look at us. We're radiant, so youthful.
I mean, okay, maybe I'll claim I'm 200 years old. Then we would look extra good all the time.
Know. Sort of an Edward and Bella situation.
Yeah. I'm going to be 200. I'm going to go find me an 18-year-old.
Ooh.